Commander Taewon Kim watched the last human ship explode in the cold darkness of space. The bright flash lasted only seconds before fading into nothing. Another good ship gone. Another crew lost. Another step closer to the end of everything. "Sir, that was the destroyer Braveheart," reported Captain Dongmin Lee from his position at the communications panel. His young face looked tired beyond his years. 3 years of constant war had aged them all. No survivors detected. Taewon closed his eyes for a moment. The Braveheart had been commanded by Captain Yang, a good man with 2 young children back on Earth. Now those children would grow up without their father, assuming they lived long enough to grow up at all. "How many ships do we have left?" Taewon asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. 14 combat vessels, sir. 6 destroyers, 5 frigates, 2 cruisers, and our flagship," Dongmin replied. His voice was steady, but Taewon could hear the fear underneath. 14 ships. 3 years ago, the human fleet had numbered over 300 vessels. Now they were down to 14 ships facing an enemy fleet of more than 3,000. The math was simple and terrifying. The Dao bridge of the battleship Defiance was quiet except for the soft hum of life support systems. The crew worked at their stations with grim determination, but Taewon could feel their despair. They all knew this was likely their last battle, maybe their last day alive. "Sir, incoming transmission from the enemy fleet," announced Lieutenant Hyun Ji-song from the communications station. "They're requesting to speak with our commanding officer." "Put it through," Taewon said. He straightened his uniform and prepared to face their enemies. The main screen flickered and showed the face of Admiral Vexkar, leader of the Velkari Empire and commander of the Dominion Alliance fleet. The alien's features were sharp and predatory, with scales that gleamed like black metal and eyes that burned with cold intelligence. "Commander Kim," Vexkar spoke in perfect English, his voice carrying the mechanical precision of a universal translator. "Your resistance has been admirable but futile. Look around you. Your fleet is destroyed. Your worlds are conquered. Your people are defeated." Taewon said nothing. He had learned that aliens respected strength, and showing fear or weakness would only make things worse for humanity. Vexkar continued, "The Dominion Alliance offers humanity one final chance. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to exist as servants. Continue this pointless resistance and we will exterminate every last human in the galaxy. You have 72 hours to decide." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in heavy silence. "Sir?" Dongmin said quietly. "What are our orders?" Before Taewon could answer, another voice spoke from behind them. "Our orders are to make them regret ever hearing the word human." Everyone turned to see Dr. Sora Park entering the bridge. The xenobiologist was small and looked fragile, but Taewon had learned to respect her brilliant mind and fierce determination. She had been studying the enemy for 3 years, learning their weaknesses and developing strategies to exploit them. "Dr. Park," Taewon said, "what brings you to the bridge?" "I have been analyzing the enemy communication patterns," she replied, pulling out a data tablet. "The Dominion fleet is impressive, but they have made a critical error. They underestimate us." "With respect, Doctor," Dongmin said, "they have 3,000 ships. We have 14. The math seems pretty clear." Dr. Park smiled, and there was something dangerous in that smile. "Captain Lee, you think like a human. That is exactly what makes us dangerous to them. The Dominion species think in terms of numbers, technology, and firepower. They cannot understand how humans think when we are desperate." She activated her tablet, showing tactical displays of the enemy fleet formation. "Look at their positioning. Perfect military formations designed for maximum firepower and protection. Very logical, very predictable, very alien." Taewon studied the display. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "I am suggesting that we show them what happens when humans have nothing left to lose," Dr. Park replied. "Admiral Cho has authorized Protocol Ragnarok. It is time to reveal what we have been preparing for." The bridge crew looked confused. Protocol Ragnarok was classified at the highest levels. Even Taiwan only knew rumors about it. What exactly is Protocol Ragnarok? He asked. Dr. Park's smile grew wider. It is our insurance policy. For the past 5 years, while the aliens thought we were just another primitive species, our best scientists have been working on projects they never dreamed possible. We let them think they understood us. We let them believe we would fight like they fight. We were wrong to let them believe that. She touched her tablet again, and new information appeared on the main screen. Technical specifications for technologies that should not exist. Weapon systems that seemed impossible. Ship designs that defied known physics. For 3 years we have been fighting with one hand tied behind our backs, Dr. Park explained. We needed the aliens to believe they were winning. We needed them to bring their entire fleet into our solar system. We needed them to commit everything. They had to one final battle. Lieutenant Song looked up from her station. Doctor, are you saying we wanted to lose those battles? Not wanted, Dr. Park said softly. Needed. Every ship we lost, every world we abandoned, every person who died bought us time to prepare. Time to build weapons the Dominion cannot imagine. Time to train soldiers for tactics they have never seen. Taiwan felt a chill run down his spine. How many people knew about this? Very few, Dr. Park admitted. Admiral Cho, myself, and perhaps a dozen others. We could not risk the aliens discovering our true preparations. Even our own people had to believe we were losing. The bridge was silent as everyone absorbed this information. Their defeats had been planned. Their losses had been necessary. The thought was both terrifying and inspiring. What happens now? Taiwan asked. Dr. Park looked at each of them in turn. Now we show the Dominion Alliance why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because we are the strongest or the smartest or the most advanced, but because when you threaten everything we care about, we become something that nightmares fear. She pressed one final button on her tablet. Throughout human space, hidden systems began to activate. Ships that had been reported destroyed powered up from their hiding places. Weapons that existed only in classified files came online. Soldiers, who had been training in secret, prepared for their moment. Protocol Ragnarok is now active, Dr. Park announced. The real war begins now. Outside the bridge windows, Taiwan could see the Dominion fleet in the distance, confident in their overwhelming superiority. They had no idea that they were about to learn what humans could do when their backs were against the wall. The darkest hour was ending. Hell was about to be delivered. Chief Engineer Hyun-Soo Nam stood in the deepest level of Luna Base, surrounded by machines that officially did not exist. For 5 years, he had worked in these hidden chambers, building weapons and technologies that would make the aliens question everything they thought they knew about humans. Status report, he said to his team of engineers. They were the best minds humanity had to offer, pulled from universities and corporations under the cover of routine assignments. Quantum stealth. Generators are online across all hidden fleet units, reported Dr. Young-E Ko, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. The enemy scanners cannot detect our ships when the systems are active. What about the distributed AI network? Hyun-Soo asked. Functioning perfectly, replied another engineer. Each ship now has independent tactical intelligence that can operate, even if command structure is destroyed. The aliens have never faced anything like this. Hyun-Soo nodded with satisfaction. The Dominion Alliance used centralized command systems because they valued order and hierarchy above all else. Humans had learned to fight differently. Every human ship could think for itself, adapt to changing situations, and coordinate with others without needing orders from above. Meanwhile, in the pilot briefing room of the hidden station sanctuary, Lieutenant Yoon-ji Song listened to her mission orders with growing excitement. She was one of 50 pilots selected for the most dangerous assignment in human history. Your job is to make the enemy think we are ghosts, explained Colonel Munho Shin, the flight commander. You will attack their supply lines, their communication relays, and their patrol groups. Then you disappear before they can respond. Lieutenant Song raised her hand. Sir, how do we disappear from 3,000 enemy ships? Colonel Shin smiled. Because you will not be flying normal fighters, Lieutenant. You will be flying ships that can phase in and out of normal space. Ships that can be in 3 places at once. Ships that the enemy cannot understand or predict. He activated a holographic display showing a sleek fighter, unlike anything Song had ever seen. It looked more like a work of art than a weapon of war. This is the Phantom-class stealth fighter, the colonel explained. It uses quantum displacement technology to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. To enemy sensors, you will appear to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. The pilots looked at each other with wonder and fear. This was technology that seemed impossible, yet here it was. "Sir," asked another pilot, "how long have we been building these?" "Since before the war began," Colonel Shin replied. "We knew this day would come. We prepared for it." In the political chambers of New Geneva, Councillor Minho Yoon was facing his own impossible mission. The human colonies had been fractured for decades, each world pursuing its own interests. Now he had to unite them all under one banner in less than 72 hours. "Representatives of humanity," he addressed the emergency assembly via quantum communication link. "We face extinction, not just conquest or defeat, but the complete elimination of our species from the galaxy." On the screen before him, he could see the faces of colony leaders from 17 worlds. Some looked frightened, others angry. Many seemed resigned to defeat. "Why should we fight?" asked Governor Chen of the Tau Ceti colony. "We are farmers and miners, not soldiers. What can we do against the Dominion fleet?" "You can do what humans have always done when threatened," Councillor Yoon replied. "You can adapt, you can innovate, you can refuse to give up." He activated a data transmission that sent classified information to each colony representative. Their faces changed as they read the reports. "This is real?" whispered Governor Park of the Proxima colony. "Every word," Yoon confirmed. "For 5 years our scientists have been developing technologies the aliens cannot comprehend. Hidden fleets, quantum weapons, dimensional manipulation devices. But technology alone will not save us. We need unity. We need every human world working together." One by one, the colony representatives voted to join the unified human defense force. Fear had accomplished what decades of diplomacy could not. Back in space, the first phase of human resistance began. Lieutenant Song led her squadron of Phantom fighters against a Dominion supply convoy. The alien ships were massive and heavily armed, protected by escort vessels that should have made any attack impossible. "Remember," Song said over the communication channel, "we are ghosts. We strike and vanish. Let them wonder what hit them." The Phantom fighters engaged their quantum displacement systems and simply disappeared from normal space. To the alien, sensors they had ceased to exist, but seconds later the human weapons fire began hitting the convoy from impossible angles. "Where are they?" shouted the alien convoy commander in his own language. "Sensors show nothing, but we are under attack." The human fighters appeared for split seconds, fired their weapons, then vanished again. They seemed to attack from above, below, and from 3 directions at once. The alien escort ships fired wildly at empty space, their weapons hitting nothing but darkness. Within minutes, the entire convoy was destroyed. The alien survivors could only report that they had been attacked by invisible enemies who appeared and disappeared like spirits of the dead. Similar attacks began happening across the solar system. Human ships that should have been destroyed weeks ago suddenly appeared, struck at Dominion forces, and vanished again. Supply lines were cut. Communication relays were destroyed. Patrol groups simply disappeared without sending any distress signals. Admiral Vexkar watched the reports with growing confusion and anger. "How are they doing this?" he demanded of his tactical officers. "Our sensors are the most advanced in the galaxy. Nothing can hide from our detection systems." "Sir," replied one of his subordinates, "the humans appear to have developed some form of stealth technology we have never encountered. Our ships report being attacked by enemies they cannot see or track. That is impossible," Vexkar snarled. "Humans are a primitive species. They barely achieved interstellar flight 50 years ago. They cannot possess technology superior to ours." But the evidence was mounting. Human resistance was not only continuing, it was becoming more effective. Ships that should have been easy targets were proving impossible to catch. Attacks came from directions that should have been empty space. Dr. Sora Park monitored the battle reports from her hidden laboratory. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The aliens were learning that their assumptions about humanity had been completely wrong. Phase 1 is complete, she reported to Admiral Cho. The enemy is confused and off balance. They cannot understand how we are achieving these results. What about their morale? Admiral Cho asked. Declining rapidly, Dr. Park replied with satisfaction. The Dominion species are used to technological superiority. When they cannot understand their enemy's capabilities, they begin to doubt themselves. Fear is spreading through their ranks. And our losses? Minimal. The quantum stealth systems are performing better than expected. We are destroying enemy assets at a ratio of 50-1. Admiral Cho smiled grimly. Then it is time for Phase 2. Send the signal to all hidden units. Operation Ghost Fleet is approved. Across human space, dozens of ships that had been reported destroyed suddenly powered up from asteroid belts, gas giant atmospheres, and deep space hiding places. Each ship was equipped with the new quantum technologies that made them invisible to alien sensors. The Dominion fleet suddenly found itself facing an enemy that could not be tracked, could not be predicted, and could not be understood. For the first time in the war, alien commanders began to feel something they had never experienced before when fighting humans. They began to feel afraid. Lieutenant Song returned from her second mission of the day, her Phantom fighter materializing inside the hidden hangar bay of Sanctuary Station. She climbed out of her cockpit with a wide grin. "How did it go?" asked her squadron leader. "We hit 3 more supply convoys and 2 communication stations," Song reported. "The aliens are starting to spread their forces thin, trying to protect everything at once. They have no idea where we will strike next." "That is exactly what we want," the squadron leader replied. "Keep them guessing. Keep them afraid. Make them understand that humans are not the easy prey they thought we were." The war was changing. What had seemed like humanity's final defeat was becoming something else entirely. The aliens were about to learn that cornered humans were the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. Colonel Sung-Ho Jang crouched behind the ruins of a fallen building on the colony world of Haven. The planet had been occupied by Dominion forces for 6 months, but today that would change. His Marine unit had been waiting underground in hidden bunkers preparing for this moment. "All teams report ready," whispered Sergeant Haewon Shin through the communication device. Around the city, 50 other Marine squads waited for the signal to begin their assault. "Remember," Colonel Jang said quietly, "we are not here to hold territory. We are here to make them afraid to sleep at night." The Dominion soldiers had grown comfortable during their occupation. They believed humans were defeated and broken. They had no idea that underneath their feet, in tunnels and bunkers they never suspected, human forces had been preparing for revenge. "Begin Operation Ghost Strike," Colonel Jang ordered. Across the city, human Marines emerged from sewers, basements, and hidden passages. They struck the alien patrols with weapons the Dominion had never seen before. Plasma rifles that fired silent, beams of energy, explosive charges that could destroy enemy vehicles without making a sound, poison darts that could kill an alien soldier in seconds. Within an hour, the occupation force was in complete chaos. Soldiers disappeared from their posts without any sign of struggle. Equipment was destroyed by invisible attackers. Communication systems went dead one by one. The surviving alien commander tried to call for reinforcement, but found that all his communication arrays had been cut. His soldiers were too frightened to leave their barracks. They had gone from confident occupiers to terrified prisoners in their own base. Meanwhile, in her secret laboratory on Earth, Dr. Haewon Shin worked on humanity's most dangerous project. She had been studying captured alien biology for 3 years, looking for weaknesses that could be exploited. "The breakthrough is complete," she announced to her research team. "We can now create targeted biological weapons that will affect alien physiology without harming humans." Her assistant, Dr. Jun Seo Kim, looked concerned. "Are we certain this is ethical?" Biological warfare has been banned for centuries. Dr. Shin looked at him with cold determination. Ethics are a luxury for species that are not facing extinction. The Dominion Alliance plans to exterminate every human in the galaxy. I will use every weapon at our disposal to prevent that. She activated a containment field around a small vial of clear liquid. This virus will attack the nervous systems of Velkari soldiers, causing paralysis and death within hours. It is completely harmless to human biology. In space, Captain Bong-sik, Ryu commanded the battleship Vengeance, humanity's last major warship, but the aliens did not know that this ship had been secretly modified with technology that defied their understanding of physics. Enemy patrol squadron approaching, reported his tactical officer. 12 heavy cruisers heading directly for our position. Activate dimensional displacement drive, Captain Ryu ordered calmly. The Vengeance seemed to split into 3 identical ships, each moving in a different direction. The alien squadron fired at all 3 targets, but their weapons passed harmlessly through what appeared to be solid matter. Impossible, said the alien squadron leader. We are detecting 3 ships, but our weapons cannot hit any of them. Return fire, Captain Ryu commanded. All 3 versions of the Vengeance opened fire simultaneously. The alien ships found themselves under attack from multiple directions at once, by an enemy that seemed to exist in several places at the same time. Within minutes, the entire alien patrol was destroyed. Intelligence Officer Yura Kang worked from a hidden facility on Mars, broadcasting carefully crafted messages to different species within the Dominion Alliance. Her goal was to turn the aliens against each other. Attention Zephyrian vessels, she broadcast on a frequency monitored by both Zephyrian and Velkari ships. Your Velkari allies are planning to sacrifice your fleet to protect their own forces. Intercepted communications show they consider your species expendable. The message was carefully constructed to sound like an intercepted military transmission. Yura had studied alien psychology for years and knew exactly which fears and suspicions to exploit. Similar messages went out to other species in the Alliance, each one designed to create doubt and mistrust. The Thrakari were told that the Molokari were stealing their territory assignments. The Gorthons were informed that other species were laughing at their military failures. Within days, fights broke out between different alien species within the Dominion fleet. Ships that should have been protecting each other began viewing their allies with suspicion. Admiral Vexkar watched his alliance crumbling with growing fury. How are the humans doing this? He demanded. They should be dead by now. Instead, our forces are being destroyed across 12 star systems. His intelligence officer, Commander Zekmar, looked nervous as he delivered his report. Sir, we have lost contact with 63 occupied worlds. Our patrol squadrons are being eliminated, faster than we can replace them, and our allies are beginning to question their commitment to this war. What do you mean? Vexkar snarled. The Molokari Consortium has withdrawn 500 ships from the front lines, claiming they need to protect their own territory. The Thrakari Empire is demanding proof that we are not using them as expendable forces. 3 minor species have completely pulled out of the alliance. Vexkar realized that somehow, impossibly, the humans were winning, not through superior firepower or numbers, but through tactics that no civilized species had ever conceived. General, Wonsik Park received the reports from all fronts with grim satisfaction. Operation Ghost Strike was succeeding beyond their best projections. Human forces were fighting the kind of war that the aliens could not understand or counter. Phase 3 is complete, he reported to Admiral Cho. Enemy morale is collapsing, their alliance is fragmenting, and their occupation forces are abandoning their positions. It is time to reveal our full capabilities. Admiral Cho nodded. Begin Protocol Ragnarok final phase. Show them what happens when humans have nothing left to lose. The real war was about to begin. General Wonsik Park stood in the command center of Fortress Luna, watching displays that showed human forces across the galaxy. For 5 years they had prepared for this moment. Now it was time to unleash everything they had built. All hidden. Fleet's report ready, announced Commander Nara Kim, daughter of Taiwan Kim and leader of the new generation of human warriors. At 25, she had been training for this war since she was 15 years old. Dr. Subin Choi, status of the special weapons systems? General Park asked. Dr. Choi looked up from her control panel, her eyes bright with dangerous excitement. All systems are online and ready for deployment. The aliens are about to learn why no species in galactic history has ever tried to exterminate humans. She activated a series of displays showing weapons that seemed to come from nightmares rather than military laboratories. Kinetic bombardment platforms that could destroy entire cities from orbit. Self-replicating hunter-killer probes that would pursue enemy ships across star systems. Quantum disruption fields that could tear apart matter at the molecular level. These weapons violate 17 galactic warfare conventions, Dr. Choi explained with a cold smile, not because they are inhumane, but because they are so effective that no species ever imagined they would be necessary. Diplomat Kyung-ho Lee was preparing for the most audacious negotiation in galactic history. His orders were not to beg for mercy or seek terms of surrender, but to offer the alien species one final chance to withdraw before humanity demonstrated its full power. You understand, General Park told him, that most of these species will refuse our offer. They still believe they are winning this war. I understand, Lee replied calmly, but we must give them the chance to save themselves. What happens after that is their choice. The first demonstration came without warning. A Dominion patrol fleet of 30 ships was conducting routine operations near Jupiter when they encountered what appeared to be a single human vessel. 1 ship against 30, laughed the alien fleet commander. The humans must be more desperate than we thought. But when his ships opened fire, their weapons simply passed through the human vessel as if it was not there. Then the human ship began to multiply. 1 became 2, then 4, then 8, then 16. Impossible, whispered the alien commander. Our sensors show only 1 ship, but we are seeing multiple targets. The human vessel, revealed to be the new flagship Retribution commanded by Captain Jae-sung Lim, existed in multiple dimensions, simultaneously. It could attack from several different realities while remaining impossible to target in any single one. The alien fleet was destroyed in minutes. The few survivors could only report that they had been attacked by an enemy that seemed to control reality itself. Similar demonstrations began occurring across the galaxy. Human ships appeared in places they should not be able to reach. Weapons were deployed that the aliens had no defense against. Entire enemy fleets simply vanished without sending distress signals. Diplomat Lee's message was broadcast to every species in the Dominion Alliance. The human species offers you one opportunity to withdraw from this conflict. We bear no ill will toward species that were simply following their leaders. But those who participated in planning our extinction will face the full consequences of their actions. The response was mixed. Several smaller species immediately began withdrawing their forces. Others, particularly the proud Velkari Empire, dismissed the human message as the desperate bluff of a dying species. Master Chief Inho Bayek led commando operations that systematically dismantled Dominion command structures from within. His teams moved through alien space like ghosts, appearing wherever they were least expected. Target acquired, he whispered to his team as they observed a heavily fortified Dominion command station. Intelligence reports this facility coordinates fleet movements for 3 star systems. How do we penetrate defenses that strong? Asked Sergeant Miran Yu. Master Chief Bayek smiled grimly. We do not penetrate them, we simply appear inside them. Using personal teleportation devices that had been developed in the deepest levels of human research facilities, the commando team materialized directly inside the alien command center. The defenders had no time to react before their critical systems were destroyed and their commanders eliminated. Within hours, Dominion forces across 3 star systems found themselves without coordination or leadership. Ships wandered aimlessly, unable to receive orders or communicate with higher command. Dr. Ari Moon's quantum manipulation technology was being deployed on an unprecedented scale. Human ships could now exist in multiple dimensions, making them effectively impossible to target, while allowing them to strike from impossible angles. The enemy cannot comprehend what they are facing, she explained to the assembled scientific team. Their weapons are designed to fight in normal space-time, Our vessels operate outside the boundaries of conventional reality. Captain Jae Sung Lim commanded a fleet that seemed to break every law of physics. His ships appeared and disappeared at will, attacked from multiple directions simultaneously, and seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Enemy reinforcement fleet approaching, reported his tactical officer. 200 vessels, including 4 dreadnoughts. Show them what we have learned about warfare, Captain Lim ordered. His fleet, numbering only 30 ships, engaged the quantum displacement drives. To alien sensors, the human vessels suddenly multiplied into hundreds of targets, each one appearing to be solid and dangerous. The alien fleet fired at targets that seemed real but were actually quantum echoes. Meanwhile, the actual human ships attacked from dimensions the aliens could not detect or defend against. We are under attack by over 400 enemy vessels, reported the confused alien commander. Request immediate reinforcement. Impossible, came the reply from Dominion Command. Our intelligence shows the humans have fewer than 50 ships in that sector. The alien reinforcement fleet was destroyed before they could understand what had killed them. As news of these impossible defeats spread through the Dominion Alliance, panic began to set in. Species that had been confident of victory suddenly found themselves questioning whether they understood their enemies at all. The humans are not fighting like any civilized species, reported one alien commander to his superiors. They use weapons we cannot counter, tactics we cannot predict, and technology that should not exist. Perhaps he suggested another. We underestimated what happens when you threaten a species with complete extinction. Admiral Vexkar faced the collapse of everything he had built. His alliance was fragmenting, his fleets were being destroyed by impossible enemies, and his own subordinates were beginning to doubt his leadership. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, we have lost contact with 40% of our forces. The species we can still reach are demanding explanations for these defeats. What explanations can I give? Vexkar snarled. The humans are using technology that defies every natural law we know. They fight like demons from the deepest nightmares. He was beginning to understand that he had not been fighting a war against a primitive species. He had been receiving an education in what humans became when their survival was threatened, and that education was far from over. Admiral Ji-hee Cho stood on the bridge of the massive battleship Indomitable, watching the final phase of humanity's counterattack unfold across the galaxy. Around her, displays showed human forces that had been hidden for years, finally revealing themselves in their full terrifying glory. Fleet status report, she ordered. 237 combat vessels operational and advancing, reported Fleet Captain Sang-Ho Park. All hidden construction facilities are now producing ships. At maximum capacity, we are adding 15 new vessels to the fleet every week. Admiral Cho smiled grimly. The Dominion Alliance had believed they were fighting the entire human military. They had no idea that 2/3 of humanity's real fleet had been hidden in asteroid fields, gas giant atmospheres, and secret construction facilities throughout human space. What is our target priority? Asked Commander Yan Su Lim. Everything, Admiral Cho replied coldly. The Dominion Alliance chose to threaten our species with extinction. Now they will learn what extinction looks like from the other side. Master Chief Inho Bayek led the most elite commando unit in human military history through the corridors of the Dominion Alliance's primary command station. His mission was simple: capture or eliminate the highest-ranking alien military leaders. Thermal. Scans show 47 enemy personnel in the command center, whispered Sergeant Bora Kim through the communication system. Heavy security, automated defenses, and multiple escape routes. None of that will matter, Master Chief Bayek replied calmly. They still think in terms of conventional warfare. His team activated personal cloaking devices that made them invisible to both visual and electronic detection. They moved through the alien facility like living shadows, appearing only when they struck. The alien guards never saw what killed them. Security systems registered nothing until it was far too late. Within 20 minutes, the most heavily defended facility in Dominion space had fallen to 8 human soldiers. Command center secured, Master Chief Bayek reported. We have captured Admiral Vexkar and 12 other senior commanders. Dr. Ari Moon watched her quantum manipulation technology reshape the nature of space combat. Human ships could now attack from parallel dimensions, exist in multiple locations simultaneously, and ignore most forms of enemy fire. The theoretical limits of this technology are incredible, she explained to her research team. We can create weapons that exist in one dimension but fire into another. Ships that are impossible to target because they are not entirely in our reality. Are there any risks to using this technology? Asked Dr. Tae-young Ko. The only risk is that we become so powerful that we forget what we were fighting to protect, Dr. Moon replied thoughtfully. Power like this could easily corrupt us into becoming the very monsters we sought to defeat. Captain Jae-sung Lim commanded the new flagship Nemesis, a vessel that incorporated every breakthrough human science had achieved. His ship was more than a weapon. It was a demonstration of human potential unleashed. Dominion fleet detected, announced his tactical officer. 500 vessels in defensive formation around their home system. 500 ships to protect their most important worlds, Captain Lim mused. They finally understand that they are the ones who need protection. His fleet numbered only 40 vessels, but each ship represented technology that the aliens could not comprehend or counter. When the human ships engaged their reality manipulation drives, they seemed to multiply into thousands of attackers. Target their leadership vessels first, Captain Lim ordered. We want the survivors to understand that resistance is futile. The battle was over within hours. The Dominion home fleet, which should have been an impregnable defense, was swept aside by human forces that seemed to control the laws of physics themselves. Intelligence Officer Yura Kang monitored communications across the galaxy as the Dominion alliance finally collapsed completely. Her psychological warfare campaigns had succeeded beyond all projections. The Molokari Consortium has formally withdrawn from the alliance, she reported. The Thrakari Empire is requesting negotiations for separate peace. 6 minor species have surrendered unconditionally and are asking for human protection. What about the Velkari Empire? Asked General Park. Admiral Vexkar is in human custody. Their government is in chaos, and their remaining fleets are fleeing toward the galactic rim. They no longer exist as an organized threat. President So Young Hwang prepared to address not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. The war was ending, but the challenge of what came next was just beginning. Citizens of humanity, she began, and all species who may be listening to this broadcast. Today marks the end of the Dominion Alliance and their attempt to exterminate our species. But our victory comes with responsibility. She paused, looking directly into the camera. We have demonstrated capabilities that could easily allow us to dominate the galaxy as the Dominion once tried to do, but we choose a different path. Humanity seeks not to rule others, but to ensure that no species ever again faces the choice between surrender and extinction. Across human space, celebrations began as news of total victory spread, but in the command centers and research facilities, human leaders were already planning for a more complex future. Fleet Admiral Tae-won Kim, promoted after his crucial role in the early resistance, oversaw the establishment of new territorial boundaries. Human space had expanded by over 300%, but with that expansion came the responsibility of protecting dozens of alien species seeking human protection. We won the war, he said to his staff. Now we must win the peace. Ambassador Mi Kyung-seo worked to establish new galactic accords that would prevent future attempts at genocide, while ensuring that humanity's sacrifice was never forgotten. The new galactic government must be structured so that no single species or alliance can achieve the dominance the Dominion once held, she explained to the assembled diplomatic team. Balance of power is the only way to ensure lasting peace. Historian Dongwoo Chung began the massive task of documenting the war that had changed everything. Future generations needed to understand how close humanity had come to extinction, and what price had been paid for their survival. This was not a victory achieved through superior technology or numbers, he wrote. This was a victory achieved through superior determination, innovation, and the willingness to sacrifice everything for survival. As reports came in from across the galaxy, the scope of human victory became clear. The Dominion Alliance had ceased to exist. Their member species were either destroyed, scattered to the galactic rim, or seeking human protection. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely. Status report on enemy forces, Admiral Cho requested. The Velkari Empire no longer exists as an organized entity, came the reply. Remaining Dominion forces are either in full retreat or have surrendered. We are receiving requests for protection from 47 different species. And our losses? Surprisingly minimal. Our advanced technology and tactics kept casualties far below projections. We lost fewer people winning this war than we lost in the first month of fighting. Admiral Cho nodded with satisfaction. Humanity had not just survived the attempt to destroy them. They had emerged as the dominant power in the galaxy, with technology that no other species could match, and a reputation that would ensure no one ever again underestimated human determination. But with great power came great responsibility. The real test would be whether humanity could resist the temptation to become the very tyrants they had defeated. President So Young Huang stood before the newly constructed Galactic Assembly on Earth, addressing representatives from over 200 species. The Great Hall was filled with beings who had come to witness the establishment of a new order in the galaxy. 5 years ago, she began, humanity faced extinction. Today we stand as the strongest military power in the galaxy. But strength without wisdom leads to tyranny, and tyranny was what we fought to defeat. The assembled representatives listened in respectful silence. Many of them owed their continued existence to human protection, and all of them had learned to respect human capabilities. Therefore, President Huang continued, humanity proposes the establishment of the Terran Protectorate, not as an empire, but as a guarantee that no species will ever again face the choice between surrender and extinction. Fleet Admiral Tae-Wan Kim oversaw the most powerful fleet in galactic history from his flagship, the massive battleship Eternal Vigilance. Around him, displays showed human vessels patrolling territories that stretched across half the galaxy. Status of the former Dominion worlds? He asked his staff. Reconstruction is proceeding on schedule, reported Captain Nara Kim, now his second in command. 43 worlds have requested permanent human protection. 27 have established new governments under our oversight. The remaining occupied territories are being returned to their original inhabitants. And the refugee populations? We are providing humanitarian aid to over 2 billion displaced beings across 17 star systems, Captain Kim replied. The logistics are challenging, but our advanced technology allows us to support populations that would have been impossible to sustain before the war. Fleet Admiral Kim nodded with satisfaction. Humanity had not just won a military victory, they had gained the responsibility for protecting and rebuilding much of the galaxy. Ambassador Mi Kyung-seo worked tirelessly to establish the legal framework for the new galactic order. The challenge was creating a system that prevented future genocidal wars, while respecting the autonomy of different species. The core principle must be proportional response, she explained to her diplomatic team. Any species that threatens others with extinction will face consequences that make such actions impossible to repeat. What about species that simply want to be left alone? Asked Deputy Ambassador Jin Ho-an. They have that right, Ambassador Seo replied. The Protectorate exists to protect, not to control. Species that pose no threat to others will be allowed to develop according to their own cultures and values. Historian Dongwu Chung published his comprehensive account of the war, a document that would become required reading throughout the galaxy. The title was simple: When Humanity Said No. The Dominion Alliance made a critical error in judgment, he wrote. They assumed that humans would respond to existential threats the same way other species had throughout galactic history, with either submission or conventional resistance. They could not conceive of a species that would innovate beyond all known limits when facing extinction. He documented how human victory had been achieved not through superior firepower, but through superior adaptability, creativity, and determination. The humans did not win because they were stronger, Chung wrote. They won because they were willing to become something new when their survival depended on it. Dr. Ari Moon led the team responsible for managing humanity's advanced technology. The quantum manipulation devices, dimensional weapons, and reality-altering systems that had won the war now needed to be carefully controlled. We have the power to reshape reality itself, she explained to the Technology Control Board. This makes us responsible for ensuring that such power is never misused. What are the safeguards? Asked Board Chairman Woo Jin Lee. Multiple layers of oversight, automatic shutdown systems, and ethical review boards, Dr. Moon replied. But the ultimate safeguard is human nature itself. We developed these technologies to protect life, not to destroy it. Commander In-ho Baek, now promoted to general, established the new Galactic Peacekeeping Force. His mission was to ensure that the lessons of the Dominion War were never forgotten. We are not conquerors, he told his officers. We are guardians. Our job is to protect those who cannot protect themselves and to ensure that genocidal thinking never again takes root in galactic politics. The peacekeeping force was composed of volunteers from dozens of species, all trained in human tactical doctrine and equipped with advanced human technology. They served as a visible reminder that humanity's protection extended to all peaceful species. Dr. Subin Choi oversaw the conversion of humanity's war machine into tools for reconstruction and exploration. The same technology that had created impossible weapons now powered terraforming systems, deep space construction platforms, and humanitarian aid distribution networks. We built these systems to wage war, she explained to her engineering teams. Now we will use them to build peace. 5 years after the war's end, the galaxy had been transformed. The old system of competing empires and survival of the strongest politics had been replaced by a network of protected species working together under human oversight. President Huang received regular reports on the Protectorate's progress. Galactic trade has increased by 400%, reported economic advisor Kyung-Soo Park. Species that were once enemies are now trading partners. The elimination of military expenditures has freed resources for scientific research and cultural development. What about resistance to human authority? President Huang asked. Minimal and decreasing, replied security advisor He Jin-yu. Most species have come to appreciate the benefits of guaranteed protection and peaceful development. The few that resent human authority lack the power to threaten the system. The memorial to those lost in the war was built on Luna, visible from Earth but facing toward deep space. The inscription was written in over 300 languages. To those who died defending the right of all species to exist. Their sacrifice ensures that never again will any people face extinction for the ambitions of others. Fleet Admiral Kim visited the memorial regularly, reading the names of ships and crews lost in humanity's darkest hour. The price of victory had been high, but the alternative would have been the end of human civilization. Was it worth it? Asked Captain Na-Ra Kim during one of their visits. Look around you, her father replied, gesturing toward the stars. 200 species live in peace under our protection. Genocidal war has become impossible. Children grow up without fear of extinction. Yes, it was worth it. Historian Chung's final assessment of the war's impact became the accepted historical interpretation. The Dominion War marked the end of the old galactic order based on strength and domination, and the beginning of a new age based on protection and cooperation. Humanity's victory demonstrated that determination and innovation could overcome any odds. But more importantly, it showed that power could be used to protect rather than to oppress. As the 10th anniversary of victory approached, President Huang prepared her final address on the subject. 10 years ago, our species faced extinction. Today, we guard the safety of half the galaxy. This transformation teaches us that our greatest strength is not our technology or our weapons, but our refusal to accept that innocent people should suffer for the ambitions of tyrants. We are not perfect. We make mistakes, and we continue to learn. But we have proven that it is possible for a species to gain ultimate power and choose to use it for protection rather than domination. The Terran Protectorate will endure as long as there are those who need protection and humans willing to provide it. This is our promise to the galaxy. Never again will any species face the choice between surrender and extinction. The war had ended not with humanity's defeat, but with their transformation into the galaxy's guardians. They had delivered hell to their adversaries and paradise to those they protected. And in the depths of space, where new civilizations were still developing and unknown threats might yet emerge, human ships continued their eternal patrol, carrying a simple message to all who might encounter them. We are humanity. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. We remember those who tried to destroy us. Choose wisely which category you belong to. The age of humanity had begun, and it would endure for as long as there were stars in the sky.